Coach, Celtics bench made 8 points tonight. First of all, congratulations. Do you think if bench continue to this performance, you will have a problem at the playoff and potentially in the finals?
I think we have a problem Friday night. So, no, part of that is we've got, two really good players out tonight with Jaylen Brown and Enes Kanter. So that adds to your, starting lineup depth, whatever you want to call that. And then, so we'll worry about that later. I think, we've got a couple young guys that are playing in this for the first time. And, you've seen them, do some really good things, but you also know they're really young, and this is a whole brand new experience. The game is super fast, especially in our last 2 home games. So we have to get better. Our whole team has to get better. We can't have the first halves like we've had in the last 2 games. But, obviously we're really encouraged by that win and the way that our guys play together.
Brad, you just mentioned the first half in the past 2 games is a trend here so far, that slow starts and having to overcome them. What's happening in those slow starts, and how are you overcoming them?
They were the first to the ball on numerous occasions in the first half, so they looked like the quicker team, both to the floor, to the rebound. We started to settle in a little bit more at the end of the first half, and unfortunately it ended up still being 15 or 16 at halftime. But I think if you looked at our 44 shots in the first half, I don't think they compare to the 48 we took in the second as far as quality of shot. So we really worked hard for good shots in the second half. And it started with the first possession of the second half. The ball whipped all over the place. There were multiple opportunities to throw up a tough one, and they just found the next right guy. And ball goes in a couple times. Now every shot becomes a little bit easier because you're feeling better. So we just need to keep working as a team and figure out where our best opportunities are. That's 2 games in a row that's happening. But, there's always trends like this whenever you're going through a season with 82 games. Goals to play better, more possessions.
I know you've had a couple guys out. You've had different breaks in between games. You had a back-to-back. But after 4 games, 3 games against teams that are generally considered at the top of the East, what have you learned about this group as you're trying to kind of figure out what you have?
I mean, the key is how you handle good nights, and then how you handle the storms that are coming inevitably in this season. And I'm really encouraged because when this team was in the halftime, they were saying all the right things, they were thinking all the right things, and I thought again at the end of the second quarter we wanted to cut into that lead so bad. We were just trying to hit it out of the park every time we shot, and so finally we settled down and just hit singles and just played the right way, and at least you give yourself a chance. The guys really competed, played a really good team. I don't think it necessarily tells us much. There are only 4 games in.
Coach, when Gordon plays with that kind of aggressiveness, is that something that really helps ignite the team? And also on the opposite side, Marcus's defense?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Marcus was really good defensively. I mean, Giannis is a handful, and he had him for, at least a portion of Giannis's 35 minutes. I thought Shemi was excellent as well. And then, he's just hard to guard. And then our guys, I do think they missed some shots in the third quarter as we were coming back that they'll probably look at and say those were really good looks. But we had to swarm the paint, and you kind of pick your poison and challenge as well as you can. And so I thought we did that. But at the end of the game, when Tatum, Hayward, and Kemba have seen the ball go in the way that they had seen the ball go in that last quarter, that you got a lot of different options there, different things to run, and one can take the weight off the other and those type of things. Yeah, I think the balance is good, but there's going to be nights where, some of those guys have 9 and the other guys have 30. It's just the way it goes, part of being a team.
Jason was one of the guys who really helped lead the charge there in the third quarter with a few big threes there. Just what do you think of the way that he was able to bounce back after kind of a tough first half?
Yeah, he got again. I thought I forget how he got the first look of the third quarter, but when you get a look that open and you see it go in, you feel much better about yourself. I thought he was really trying to will it in the second quarter, and then we just all got better shots in the third, and his first one was a lot easier. And so once you see it go in, you feel a little bit better. Ball starts bouncing in for you. Now, though, even that ISO that he hit at the end of the third quarter feels like it's got a shot, you know, versus if you're in a rut or your team's in a rut, that ball doesn't seem to go in as much.
Brad, you talked about Marcus on the defensive end, 19 points for him as well. He's hit a lot of big threes, it seems like, in the first half to keep you in contact. How, you know, has his game kind of evolved on the offensive end? And just as a follow-up, with him guarding Giannis, is that something, you know, obviously you haven't had to do that much of him, but him in the World Cup, did you see any of that at all? Or was that something you picked up
Jalen
anyway?
a lot. You know, we were going to play Jalen, Marcus, and Shemi on him and just rotate those guys as much as we could. But we switched a lot too, and you know, when our guards were in disadvantaged matchups, our bigs did a good job figuring out a way to get them out of that matchup. I thought Tice did a really good job directing from behind all night. I thought Robert Williams came in and gave us good minutes. You know, it was a collective effort. Whenever you're playing against a guy like that, it's not going to be one person. As far as Marcus's shooting, I mean, Marcus's shooting's been on an upward trend since really the hand thing a couple years ago. After he had that year where his thumb was bad and everything else, I thought last year he shot it great, and you kind of see that continuing.
Coach, in talking about that pregame plan that you had going against Giannis, in the past, especially last year in the playoff series, you guys went big against him with Al and Baines. This year, obviously, it looks like you guys are going a little bit smaller. What does that allow the defense to do that maybe you
Well, there's
couldn't
some
do?
issues, and so, you know, and they'll figure out a way to look at that, and they already did some things against it that we're going to have to figure out and be better at. He's an MVP. So at the end of the day, no matter what you do, there's going to be issues. And you know, again, I thought they did get some good looks that we're going to have to be better at the next time we play them, especially in the third quarter. But the energy we were playing with was great, and the way that we rebounded in the third and fourth quarter was great. And we just tried to make it as tough on them as possible.
Brad, Kemba took 15 free throws in this game. You haven't had a guy that takes that kind of volume free throws. What kind of pressure does that put on the other team when you're making that comeback? And then is there something that he can sort of teach other guys in the team as they're learning to attack more?
Yeah, I don't know what his volume is versus Isaiah's, but Isaiah was a guy that got to the line a ton too, right? But I think that there's, you know, anytime that you can get a guy that can get on skates like that and he gets guys on his hip and he can use head fakes, he's tough, he's fearless in the paint. You know, he's got, you know, an athletic ability that very few people talk about. He has the ability to stop. Like, he has the ability to decelerate and boom, just pop right up. Gets fouled a lot because of that. But he's a warrior. That's one thing that, you know, you've always known, but you can really feel in the huddles, and, you know, that guy wants to win.
Brad, you talked earlier about hitting singles instead of trying to hit the home run. It seemed like last year you guys would get down early a lot and then try to hit home runs. Sometimes you would rally, sometimes you wouldn't. With the previous teams, it seemed like you guys were more of a single-hitting team. It's hard not to compare this year's team and last year's team. Do you sense a difference in terms of the fortitude, how they approach, like you said, hitting singles?
4 games in. Yeah, let's give it more of a sample size before we, you know, say that we're that yet. But I do think that, you know, sometimes you have to hit singles to come back because you hit home runs to get down. That's what happened tonight. So it's not like we weren't swinging for the fences, but we just unfortunately did it in the first and second quarter early, and then we had to just win possession by possession after that because we were shooting tougher shots. So that's my Game 7 World Series. Let's all go watch the baseball game. Thanks.